I didn't drink for most of 2024. I didn't actually count, to be honest, but I think it was around about 10 months of no drinking, somewhere from January to middle of November. I don't know. I didn't keep count because I wasn't doing it for a YouTube video, but I was mostly sober in 2024. But then something happens when you are sober for so long. You just get used to sleeping well, feeling good. And I kind of thought, well, why don't I just try one glass of champagne at my boyfriend's birthday lunch? We went out. I did one glass of champagne and that was fine. I slept fine because it was during the day. I had that one glass. We came home. I carried on, unwound, slept fine, no problem. I did another glass of champagne on another occasion. Again, fine, no problem. Then I did it again in the evening watching TV. One little glass because we had the open bottle in the fridge. And I think maybe I slept fine. I'm not sure, but there was no negative consequence. But I kind of thought, okay, this is fine. I can do a glass here and there. And then towards the end of the year, it's coming up to festive season. And I just thought, I really feel like going out and dancing and like letting off some steam, dressing up, looking nice. And so we went out. And of course, then we bumped into people and they offered us shooters. And I had quite a few drinks on that night out. We were still home early before midnight. But of course, you don't sleep as well. The alcohol is just in your system. I'm not one to sleep in. So even after a night out, I'm up at 4:30. So I had a late night, and not a good night's sleep. And it took me a couple of days to recover. But I didn't feel hungover. I just felt tired. I ate badly the next day, like craved all the sugars and all that, the usual sort of story. And I thought, not so great. But anyway, we had planned a night away and another night out. And so I did it again. We went out for lunch and I had one Aperol Spritz because this girl was coming around with her marketing campaign and selling us the drink and you could win something. So I thought, I'm on holiday, why not? Let's have fun. And then we went out and I had also not a lot, 2 glasses of champagne and a cocktail. Again, same story, go to bed but still wake up early. Also, we were staying away for the night, so I didn't sleep as well. But I just found that it's taken me a few days after each night of drinking to recover. And so what I've discovered by my little foray into drinking again is that no harm was done. I didn't go wildly overboard, but 2 nights of more than a few drinks. And it sort of took me that little dip a few days to recover. But yes, you get the drinks, the woohoo on the party night, you get that woohoo, you want to go out. But it's not really worth it anymore. And I'm glad I tried it, but it's proven to me that, it's fun. It's kind of fun, but it's also not that fun. I think I'm older, I'm more mature, and I've just discovered that whilst I thought I needed the drinks in order to let loose and dance, the second time that we went out, there's the dog, I only had the 1 glass of champagne and a cocktail there at the club, and I didn't get really drunk at all. In fact, I felt pretty sober, and I still danced and I still had fun. And I thought to myself, I could do this without alcohol. I really could. I don't actually need the drink to loosen up because no one cares. No one cares. And I also was thinking that I do dance classes at the gym, like the exercise dance classes. I'm sober then. I've done dance lessons and I've danced with my dance group on stage, totally sober. And so I can do all of that sober. It's just a link in my mind that I thought, well, if we go out and I want to dance, I need a few drinks to loosen up. But I think that is a false narrative that I have bought into because from when I was young, we would go out clubbing and drinking and clubbing and dancing. And I suppose you just link the two in your mind. And sure, drinking does loosen up your inhibitions, but inhibitions are there for a reason. And if you use alcohol to loosen up, you never learn how to relax on your own. So anyway, for me, after a year or 10 months of no drinking and then drinking again, the lesson that I have come away with is that it's just not worth it. Even though I wasn't hungover, I just didn't feel great the next day, not optimal. And I do think there's a difference between just being tired from a bad night's sleep and being tired with booze that your body has had to process. Even though I would say I wasn't really hungover. There must have been, your body must be processing it. It is a toxin. It is a poison. I mean, we know this by now. If any of you have listened to that long 3-hour Rhonda Patrick YouTube video on alcohol, or the 2-hour one by Huberman, there is just no good outcomes through drinking alcohol. Not even if you have I suppose if you have one a day, but 1 unit is so little that whoever sticks to 1 a day. And even there, in the Rhonda Patrick long 3-hour alcohol podcast, basically she was saying that no drinking is always better than moderate or little light drinking.
First, I think an important note, it's abundantly clear that the number of alcoholic drinks per week that will be associated with optimal health is 0.
Yes, you can kind of get away with maybe 1 unit a day for women. I think it's 2 for men, but whoever sticks to that. And why do it? Why even do 1 unit a day? Because the thing is with alcohol, it is addictive. The very nature of alcohol is that it is addictive. And I personally feel the longer one exposes oneself to drinking, so the more you drink, the higher the chance of you getting addicted to it is, because the nature of it is addictive. So it's going to get its claws into you. And I'm not saying you are addicted. I'm not saying you have a problem. I wasn't a problem drinker. I would consider myself just a normal social drinker. But the problem is, even a normal social drinker like me has had nights where I've had too much, far too much. I've slurred my words, I've stumbled, I've driven under the influence where I didn't want to drive like that, but I had no other way of getting home. I've made not great decisions under the influence. We all have. And why even put yourself in that risk exposure category? Why even risk it? I've just come to realize that even dancing, I probably can do it sober, and it's a skill. Like anything in life, it's a skill. If I feel inhibited, I need to learn how to get over that. And I mean, if I can do that at the gym, why can't I do it in a nightclub? A nightclub is even better. It's darker, the music's so loud, no one cares, everyone's drunk and on their own mission anyway. So it's in my head. I know I need to get over that. There's the other one that we all kind of associate alcohol with socializing, and we all think we socialize better with a few drinks in us. And I know we feel like we do on the inside. I know I do. You feel, okay, I'm relaxed, now I can talk, now I can just speak to people. But the truth is, especially now that I've been sober pretty much for the last 2 years, the majority of the time, the truth is, the minute someone goes over that 1 or 2 drinks mark, they become very boring and repetitive. They get louder, they get more obnoxious. Some of them get aggro, some of them get weepy, some of them get just emotional. I mean, I count myself in all of that. I'm sure if I've had too much to drink, I go in any of those directions. We all do. We all do. It's the nature of alcohol to make us not great versions of ourselves. And you think, in the moment, you think, God, I'm being so witty. Look at me. I'm telling a joke. Everyone's laughing. And you feel like on top of the world. You feel funnier, cleverer, wittier. But the truth is, it's only because everyone around you is also drunk and drinking, and everyone's just shouting at each other and getting louder and laughing. But it's not a true connection. And if you think about it, when you're out at a bar and you speak to a stranger, it's not a true connection, because how many of those connections that you make in a bar are lasting and meaningful? How many conversations of depth do you have when you are drunk? How many of those friendships that you make in a bar or a club scene do you take outside there and then it flourishes into like a daily friendship? Very, very few, if any. In fact, it's never happened for me. It would usually be friends that I've made outside of that environment. We might go together to a club or a bar or whatever. And then, of course, you talk shit when you're drunk, but it doesn't really add anything of substance and value to a friendship. Maybe in some cases you say, yeah, we deepen our friendship because we can talk more openly, possibly. And I'm not saying it's never the case, but I just feel that if you examine alcohol truly and deeply, it doesn't really add anything. And in fact, 99.9% of the time, it takes away. It numbs your senses. It dulls your senses. People are just shouting at each other. They're not listening. And I even proved this to myself recently. We went to a friend's surprise birthday gathering, and I didn't drink, didn't want to. And I actually socialized what I consider better. I socialized really well and better because once I just calmed down, initially you feel a bit awkward, you're meeting everyone, and then I realized no one cares what I'm drinking, although sometimes people always ask, what are you drinking? And that annoys me. It's like, what is it to you? But anyway, once you just relax into you having your cool drink, I found that I asked much better questions. I listened properly. I responded properly instead of just, that warm, melty, fuzzy feeling that booze gives you, but then you're not really engaging in a true way. Maybe after the first drink or two, you're still fine. But I just felt I actually socialized better and well. And I felt good afterwards. And we got home by the evening. And I was even aware and present-minded enough to know that after this socializing, I'd given out energy, which, for me as an introvert, socializing takes energy. Even when I enjoy it, it takes energy. And I knew I needed to decompress. So I made myself my hot chocolate. That's my normal evening routine. And I sat in silence for about an hour. And that was wonderful. And then I went to bed and I slept great. And I think if I had had a few drinks, I might have just come home, not had that presence of mind to decompress, and then would have brushed my teeth and gone to bed. Maybe not slept as well. Also, your body would have been processing, or my body would have been processing the 1 or 2 or 3 drinks. And so I just discovered for me now recently that having a few drinks again has proven I'm on the right path with not drinking. And I'm not a black and white thinker, so it's not like I don't believe in all or nothing, but probably I'm guessing that this is the end of the road for me. I think maybe I'll have half a glass of champagne here or there. I don't know. I don't want to berate myself if I do. And that's why I wouldn't say like I'm an all or nothing kind of person, but I have just come to the conclusion that for me, and based on everything I've heard lately in all these podcasts and all the health outcomes, the negative health outcomes that are associated with alcohol, it's a choice that I'm making to live my life pretty much alcohol free. And so I share that with you in this video because I know a lot of you are probably like me on the fence about it, probably don't really want to drink but feel pushed by society. You feel that pressure by your friends. I mean, it is normal. You go to a gathering and everyone's pouring wine and they want to pour you a glass and come on, have a glass with me. What are you drinking? I know it is societally acceptable to drink, and it is wrong, I think, now that I'm older and wiser. It is a toxin, it's a poison, and it is something that I wish my son never does. And that's how I know that it is something I need to give up for the majority of my life going forward, because if I wouldn't want him to drink alcohol, then I know it's not a good thing. And looking back, I also kind of wish I'd never started, but I did. I remember the first time I had 2 drinks. I got so drunk. It was with my cousins in Greece. They took me out and I had, I think it was 2 spiced golds and Coke. And I was already like falling all over the show, that warm, fuzzy, melty, slurry feeling. But back then, no one thought it was harmful and everyone just laughed about it. And it is so socially acceptable that we allow teenagers to drink. I mean, it is so socially acceptable that you see parents letting toddlers have a little sip of beer or wine. It is so socially acceptable that every Netflix movie, every TV show, almost every show, shows the characters drinking. They drink to celebrate, to unwind, when they have a problem, when they're frustrated. It's just pervasive. Mothers in TV shows drink while they are looking after their children. Little grannies, little old ladies, it's just everywhere. And on social media, it's very acceptable to show your photographs of you on holiday with your cocktail. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you do that. We all do it. I've done it as well. But I just want to rethink this alcohol thing. I invite you to rethink it. And I invite you to, if you are on the fence, take a break. Just leave it. You really don't need it to socialize. You really don't need it to unwind and relax. And in fact, I heard Dr. Mike Israetel say that he thinks there's no negative effect if you have 1 or 2 drinks in the evening to relax. And in fact, it is beneficial because that calm that you get, those 3 hours, 4 hours of relaxation could be so beneficial. But here's my problem with it, and I think he's wrong. If you turn to wine or alcohol or beer or whatever to relax, even if it is just 1 or 2, you are robbing yourself of the chance to learn your own relaxation skills. how will you ever learn to unwind and decompress on your own if you always reach for a glass of wine or a beer? And so whilst maybe 1 or 2 a day is not harmful, it's not helping you either. And I would say that a life without alcohol is probably optimal, and you will learn skills and develop those skills that you would probably never have learned otherwise. I'm going to be alcohol-free for next year, for 2025, for the majority of the year. I hope you join me. I just wanted to share it so that you feel more empowered if you want to give it up too, or just stop or do a dry January. I think it's worth exploring.